Welcome once again to the forecast. It is the 3cast tonight. Doc is being Island Doc again. He's in Miami trying to holler at somebody. So he will not be here tonight. Wilkes may be coming on a little bit later, but we do have a special guest on tonight's show, Miss Nicole Briscoe of Queen3 and King, the season queen. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
The Leo Queen.
All right, and we got one and only A-Trap in the building as well. You still here, man?
I'm here, man. That's all that counts.
On this side of the dirt, man. So it can't be any better than that. But glad to see you tonight. Hopefully, you're doing as well as you possibly can.
Hey, man, that's all I can. It's good to be seen, not viewed.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah. And so, we're excited tonight. We got as we finish off Gospel Appreciation Month, we're coming at you with the Clark Sisters, the First Ladies of Gospel. This was a Lifetime movie, and we'll kind of get into some initial thoughts, but it's a Lifetime movie. I didn't know, honestly, what to expect. Lifetime, sometimes, the majority of the times, is drama-filled. And this didn't have a lot of, it had some drama, but it was more so telling the story.
Right.
The Clark Sisters are legendary to gospel. So I would highly recommend watching this. It is available on Amazon. Hulu is where I watched it, but it's also on other platforms as well. So looking forward to it. So Nicole, we're going to come to you first. You being our guest. Give us kind of your initial thoughts. And when we say initial thoughts, before you watched it, what was kind of your thought process? How were you feeling about it?
Well, I actually watched it when it first came out on Lifetime. Okay. And then, but I had forgotten about it until my daughter said, "Mom, you already watched it. You already seen it." So, but I did go back again on Hulu and watch it as well. So it was that good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it definitely was. And I felt like it told the story well.
Right.
Dr. Clark and just her, some parents just have that, I'm going to push you guys to be your best, whether you want it or not. And she was just one of those parents, and you could see the success in her kids, and it really told the story well. But A-Trap, what was your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts, it was very informative. I was totally ignorant. I was out of the church for the vast majority of my life. I heard these songs, but I never knew who sang them. So as I'm listening, listen to the music in this one. But
no choice.
You couldn't have. Yeah, but I was listening. I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard this before. I'm thinking it was gonna be totally new. Like, I heard this song before. Heard this song before. Had no idea who was singing it, but I heard it, and it was pretty. It was very informative. I wish they would have went a little more in depth with each sister to get their personalities out. But like a couple hours, you can't. Like I always say, I don't like biopics. I would prefer it to be a mini series so you can get to know the people more. But I never knew what was her name, Twinkie. Her voice is the one that stands out on all of the songs. So it was very informative. You listen. And you hear the songs at your grandma's house. You hear the songs at both my grandmothers and aunts. But I never knew who was singing them. That's nice. And then being a knucklehead that I was, it was just get something to eat. Oh, okay, yeah. Grandma, listen to this. I'm out.
Yeah,
that's all it was. It was just yeah. Let me hurry up before she tell me keep my door closed and stop letting my air out. That's all it was.
And I knew some about the Clark sisters. To me, I think I remember them, that Blessed and Highly Favored song. That was which that was actually their reunion, which they did that towards the end. But they had so many hits, and they were pioneers when it came to gospel. So we really couldn't do a Gospel Appreciation Month and not do this,
right?
Because they were really transcending. And during that time, this was frowned upon, this type of gospel, because it wasn't old school. They used the organ in a different way. It was more of a R&B, I guess you could say, type of gospel. But Nicole, so during your time growing up, was this being played in the house? Is this something that you grew up listening to?
I knew of the Clark sisters and stuff, but I didn't. We listened to some of their music because my dad had all kinds of different albums and stuff. Some of them were R&B, some of them was gospel. So we did listen to it, and but not as much as we did the R&B.
Yeah. And they really kind of created a lane to where gospel became a crossover. They, in the film, they were saying the music was played on the radio, and that was, years later, Kurt Franklin and that his kind of surgence and how his music was being played everywhere. It didn't matter where it was. Let me get to the chat real quick. We got Rucker Park in the building. How you doing tonight? Got a new Abby photo there. We got Raider Kev in the building, and we got Latanya Childs in the building. How you doing? We appreciate you guys for commenting. As we're going along, feel free, join in. If you watch this show at all, we definitely appreciate the comments and appreciate the support. So the singing at the beginning, and I think at the beginning, that was when the mom, which is played by Angela Ellis, which I think she is a super underrated actor. I don't know.
She is underrated.
Praise. And she also, in a previous movie that we reviewed, King Richard, which she did a great job playing Serena and Venus's mom. But talk about that for a minute, Nicole. Just I know she doesn't seem to get a lot of praise, but when she plays a role, she plays that role seriously.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because I did see Venus in the Serena movie and stuff, and she really did do an excellent job in that movie. And she did a great job in the Clark sisters movie too. Yeah. She really did. She did an excellent job. And I just can't believe that she is that underrated.
Yeah. A-Trap, you want to add something?
Most definitely. She's definitely underrated. She's been in some of our favorite movies, Ray. She played the side woman in Ray, Baby Bomb. She's been in low budget, like I guess it would be urban classics or hood classics. What is it? N2D with LL and Omar Epps. She's the girlfriend in that. So she's been a little bit of everywhere. She's in one of my favorite all times. Well, it was a 1-season deal, Lovecraft Country. She was the main character in that. And she is her, like most Black women in Hollywood. They don't get their just due until it's until they're up in age. Well, she's our age. So, she's,
right.
She's in regards to Hollywood, she's at an advanced age. Then like Viola Davis has been around for a bunch of years. Right. What's sister name? How can I not think? Bassett, Angela Bassett. She's not getting her due. It's just a sad commentary when you have all these talented Black women in Hollywood that they don't get their just due until they're 60, 70 years old. No, well, she's great. And it's like, no, she's been great since the 80s,
Right.
Since the 80s. Now you're going to celebrate her when she's 80. It's kind of sad.
Right. And she's been in Get Up On It or Get On It, which was the James Brown film. I'm not sure what she played in that, but she was in that film. She was in Notorious, which was the Biggie movie. Undercover Brother.
I remember that.
I know she was in that. I mean, she's been in, quite a few, and we're talking about decades, at this point. And she's got 3 movies coming out this year, and she's in the color new one. So, I mean, she's been putting in work, and that catalog is continuing to build. But at the beginning, shout out to Keisha. Thank you for tuning in. We got my man CJ in the building. Thank you for tuning in. This was a wonderful movie, awesome pick to whoever is responsible for choosing this. we appreciate it. I think it was a collective effort. She definitely deserves her flowers. Yeah, we have to do better at that, better at giving people their flowers now, like A-Trap said, not waiting until they're gone. And we say, oh, he was one of the best. I mean, just do it now, because they'll receive it now. I mean, when they're gone, they don't know. I mean, they're gone.
Right.
So, Pastor Dodd in the building, thank you for tuning in. Theodora Blue Streak, thank you for tuning in. And we got the baby queen in the building. Thank you for tuning in as well. Chef Finest Wine, make sure to follow his channel. Putting out great content, man, every week. So yeah, at the beginning, I think it was when she was like, "Yeah, everybody get up, everybody come downstairs." Well, I gotta. I mean, that's a creative people are like that. When they wake up or when they're asleep, things are coming to their mind. And she had to get that note. I had to get that note together at that very moment. But that shows the I'm gonna say it, the Joe Jackson. Now she wasn't like, I don't know, she wasn't whooping him and all that, like maybe they showed in the film, but I'm sure she probably was. But you know, that was that parent that knows what they see in you, and they will do whatever it takes, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
they're gonna pull it out of you, and that was her. So I appreciated that, because later on in their lives, they appreciated even more, and some of their careers were even bigger, you know, than the Clark sisters. You think about the Karen Clark Sheard, she got married. I mean, her career was huge. Dorinda, her career was huge too. So going to that scene, A-Trap, what was kind of your thoughts opening it up to that particular moment?
I had that Joe Jackson kind of feeling as well. I was like, man, you gonna wake me up, I'm asleep. And then,
right.
And she told her she was sinning by saying, she's like, don't curse in my house. You said can't. And I was like, yeah. I wish my mother would have been like that when I was playing football. Wake up, run the drills. But yeah, it was dope, man. I mean, but I'm quite sure as a kid, you ain't trying to hit none of that. Like, man, I'm trying to go to sleep.
Right. I'm trying to get this sleep, and especially if it was a weekend. I don't know if it was a weekend or a school night or whatever, but kids ain't trying to get it. She was whipping him.
It was probably on a Saturday morning.
Oh, go ahead, Nicole.
We didn't hear you, Nicole.
I said it was probably on a Saturday morning.
You're supposed to be sleeping in. But nah. If that's not a black mama right there. If she come home and she sees something not done, everybody get up. Well, I did my part. I don't care if you did your part. Everybody's supposed to do their part. So yeah, man, that's a black mama at its best, and that just shows the passion of a black mom, in which she became a single mom at one point because of the husband situation. So she was not only was she pushing her kids to be their best, but she also was doing it basically alone. So I mean, more power to her. Let's see. This says, hello, everyone, just stopping by, having a successful day. We appreciate you for jumping in. If you're in the Facebook group, you know, I say this every week, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. I can see who you are. I'm going to go to the page right now so I can see. I think that's probably, who's that? That's Lloyd Phillips. I figured it was Lloyd. Appreciate you for tuning in, Lloyd. Facebook user is Lloyd, yes. Facts. When does a child show potential, that parent is going to try to try absolute best to pull the greatness out of them. And she did a great job. I'm not quite sure if she was on that Joe Jackson tip though. She was, but it was a gospel. It was a gospel version of Joe Jackson. She wasn't. They wasn't singing ABC 1 2 3. What's up, Kirby Alexander in the building? All right, so, you know, the singing in the middle of the night, and then they started getting gold albums. And the part I thought that kind of was interesting is that they had to hide them, because if the dad seen it, the dad would have probably shut the whole thing down. But I think for me, if you're getting, like she was saying too, and as a part of the film, like if we're getting the message out, what difference does it make that we got gold albums? We can't stop that people like our music, but also just the harmony. I don't know if we've seen a group probably since then, a gospel group since then, at the level of the harmony that they had, the different levels of voices, and she was doing a choir, Dr. Clark was. So, I mean, this wasn't like they just kind of fell upon the success. They were putting in work. Nicole, that kind of scene comes up and they're starting to hide it, and they're just becoming bigger than I think what they realize.
Right.
What's some of your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that they I really think that maybe they wasn't expecting to be as big as they had gotten. And of course the dad, I don't know, that he wasn't really in the movie that much, but when the parts that he was in, he didn't act like he was when he was a preacher, right?
Right.
In the movie. But he didn't act like he was more concerned about himself. But look at your kids and your wife and the things that they are doing. They weren't out partying and drinking and smoking weed or anything like that. They were praising God themselves and trying to make a way for your family to be taken care of. So I don't understand. I didn't get that part.
Yeah. Now, Denise might have been doing some of that, because Denise was like, I don't care. She was
she was a little out there.
She was like, I'm gonna live my life. I don't care what you or mama or anybody say. So kind of the ages, it was Jackie, Denise, Twinkie, Dorinda, and Karen was the youngest. So to have that many girls, I mean, I can only imagine the
stress.
The stress,
yes,
and all that going on. Like, I'm sure there was some fist fights, which they showed a couple of them. But I mean, to be able to hold that together, even with her kid, and I kind of like how it showed them doing their own thing, because eventually,
right,
as you become older, you're gonna want to get married. You're gonna want to live life on your own. And she was, Dr. Clark was definitely reluctant, but at some point she had to let them go, because they're not kids anymore. So,
right.
You being nice, reluctant.
But that's just like, I think that's just like any other mom. They don't want their babies to grow up. They want them to stay sheltered most of the time, their whole life. Back then especially.
Yeah. Let's see. I know going far into the movie, when the Kojic church told the mom to make a choice, that brought back some horrible memories of the church, quote unquote, especially Kojic. The Kojic church was and still is very, very strict. Which, they were like, you can't get them wear pants. You couldn't obviously do this type of version of music, even though the music was reaching probably more people than anywhere else at that point in time. So I get it if that's the rules that you have, but at some point people are going to step outside of that, and at some point you're not gonna be able to control people. I think that's what they end up coming down to. Dorinda, she was and she started having hits, later on as she got older. So they all, had their own kind of avenue and hits that they had. Now, Karen was kind of the one that sung the first solo, I guess. I think that was at a Kojic conference or something like that. And she was real nervous, and she didn't know, I think that was her first time because she was the youngest. But really, Twinkie was the one, kind of like what A-Trap was saying, was kind of the glue. So she played the organ, she wrote music,
right?
And I didn't know her status. I didn't know at how high in regard she was in the group. I thought more Karen was more so the lead, but you got, and these dynamics. You talk about Jackson 5, they all had a role,
right?
And they all had a role to play, but. let's talk about Twinkie for a minute, because she was, like I said, the one that was the closest to the mom. And as we go around different parts of the movie, so fast forwarding down, and the mom was like, "You need me. You can't go out and live life on your own. You need me. You just a kid," which, parents do sometimes use terms to get their kids to stay or to get them to do something, and you got to say it in a certain way. But she turned it back around and said, "You need me. Like, without me in this group," and especially as she was getting older and her health was deteriorating. So I felt like that was a pretty powerful point in that film. But Nicole, give me your thoughts on Twinkie, and then I'll have a follow-up question for y'all too.
Yes, I think it was. I think that she wasn't expecting that her daughter would want to one day leave the nest and do her own thing.
Right.
And I think that all kids want to do that at some point.
Yeah.
And some parents, though, like I said, they try to hold on to their kids, but sometimes you can push them away from you when you do those things.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that the daughter stood up and to mom and said, I have to have my own life. You need me. You know? So I think that was powerful for her to even do that, because we did that to Miss Wilma back in the day. She would have knocked our heads off.
Right. You would have woke up like, what happened? It was like,
yes.
oh, you got to leave.
Didn't know what day of the week it was.
Right.
So
right.
yeah.
And she even, called out the future husband, because I don't think they were married at that time. I think they were either getting married or in the process, or whatever it might have been.
Yep.
But she called it out like, "You got a job?" It's like, no, but I'm gonna get a job when I get over there. It's like, oh, you can get a job. Okay. See, bad choices. Look, bad choices. I mean, that was
right.
That was a great scene, and that again showed Angela Ellis and just the level of acting. But A-Trap, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, it did. You know what? It like Nicole said, it does show you how our parents used to will with an iron fist. But it also made me appreciate my mother. Took me back to early in my parenting. I remember I would always do like, everything was my kids. So we were at a mall once, and I was making good living, and my mother was like, "We should get this, get one of these." I was like, "No, I gotta get BJ some shoes." She's like, "You can afford the shoes." She was like, "Look, let me tell you something. You make a home for your children and a life for yourself." She's like, "How often do you come see me?" And I thought it was guilt. She said, "No, I'm not guilt tripping. You living." And she was like, "Your kids gonna be doing what you're doing now, and not gonna come see you a lot. So you make a life for yourself and a home for your children." And when that happened, I was like, clearly she didn't get that message from her parents, because she had built her entire existence around that group. And it was painful to see those young ladies become women and move on with their lives. Had she done that, it would have been a smoother transition, and possibly the group never breaks up. Because if you build the family around, hey, we will always be family, but I need you to grow into your own selves, instead of always, like the one sister said, only thing I've done is I don't know the difference in what you want and what God wants.
Right.
And so it was a powerful movie. It was a lesson in parenting. It was a lesson in relationships. And you mentioned something earlier that made me go to another movie. It was The 5 Heartbeats. Twinkie was the Robert Townsend character. Robert Townsend wrote all the music, and he was who ended up hurt the most throughout the movie, because his brother sold him out, his woman left him, and that's what I was looking at when I was watching this.
Yeah, hey, that's a great parallel right there. And none of them, Twinkie did hit a breaking point after mom passed. But if you look at kind of a history in music and groups, if you go to like DeBarge, and El DeBarge was one who wrote all the music, had the best voice, but he was under the most pressure. And what did he end up going to? He ended up going to drugs and failed. But none of them, it didn't show it, but none of them seem to have gone to that point. So I think that was also kind of a major point that they were trying to reach. And then also, if you look at historical groups, They end up getting shorted on money. They end up, coming to venues and not getting paid. And the mom was, she was that first momager, I guess, saying like, hey, we need to get paid. If this is what it's going to be, this is what we should get. But they just started having, hit after hit. So 1982, they had Name It, Claim It. And then kind of shortly after that they were kind of around that age where Dorinda got engaged. Some of the sisters wanted that independence, like we kind of been talking about. And I think A-Trap, like you said, if the mom was more like, okay, yeah, not giving them that pushback or the guilt trip, they probably could have still kind of jailed, but it would have been like, all right, we'll come together when we come together. Y'all go live your lives. I mean, I'll call you, when we got tour and all that, because they started making some good money, at some point. Which that is hard to do. It not only is it hard to do as a Black group, but as an all-female group and a gospel group. This is not like this was a group that was singing in clubs and it was an R&B group. This was a gospel group. So I mean, that says, I think, volumes for the quality of voices that they had, where they could probably really have gone anywhere, get a name. So, so Twinkie was, so the part that she sold her catalog.
Yes.
Lincoln, I didn't know that part at all. So that part was definitely something I learned. But even I guess it seemed like it was early on in her career, because she probably wrote hundreds of songs after that. But that is a tale that is told so many times. Either we don't own it, or we sell it, or they give us the bag. This was basically the bag, except it was a Lincoln. They win the bag of money, and she was, she was happy with that. She hadn't had anything on her own. So it's a two-sided coin. I get where she was at that moment, but I think she probably, regretted it, especially after she walked through the door and everybody roasted her. But Nicole, give me your thoughts on that moment. She pulls up in that Lincoln with the paperwork, and she all excited and happy, and everybody's like, "What?" Give me your thoughts, Nicole.
Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you.
No, I said, give me your thoughts. Her selling the catalog for the Lincoln.
Oh, let's just say, if Miss Wilma was in this movie, we wouldn't.
But it's the furniture moving.
We wouldn't have no teeth if we sold them that catalog that early. But she didn't know. But at the same time, she should have asked her mom or the other sisters, what did they think about it, to get their input. And maybe she would not have sold it. I don't know. But I don't know what was going on in her mind at that point. But maybe it was just to have the money and to buy her own things. Yeah.
And I think too, at that point, and then A-Trap, I'll come to you, the label, which this happens again, this had a lot of parallels to Black music, because the label says, okay, you're the creator behind all of this. Like, let's look at you and say, hey, you should get your own deal. And they came to Karen, and they started coming to everybody. And that's I think that's a ploy to not only break the group up, but cause that division. So then they'll definitely go and do their own albums, because the label's gonna plant and say, well, she's got a deal now, so you might as well go and get a deal too. So I mean, this had a lot of parallels. But go ahead, A-Trap.
You know what? Well, ever since we've been doing the program, it's like one continuous chain of events. This thing with the record deal. This is something we've visited since. Think about it. The last 5 things we've done, this record deal thing has been a reoccurring thing. Going back to Whitney Houston, as recently as Whitney Houston, and then last week we went over to Aretha Franklin thing. So it's a reoccurring thing. Everything seems to tie in. It's the lack of knowledge that has destroyed us. And then, again, this goes into the word of God. We're doing gospel appreciation, goes in the work of God. Our people will suffer due to lack of knowledge. Right. And again, this is something that instead of the mother holding on to the information, trying to be the domineering person, we need to start sharing. If, like, let's just say me, you, and Nicole are relatives. We're all in the same age group, but Nicole knows something that we don't know. I know something that you don't know, and you know something that me and Nicole doesn't know. And instead of sharing that information, we continue to hoard that information, and we suffer to it. And I can understand that lady, you ain't thinking you're going to sell your music forever. You're just thinking, I gave them a piece, and I want my own. Who don't want their own? But again, this goes to the lack of communication, and we continue to suffer because we don't share. We hoard for power purposes. And it's sad, like we going further into the movie, but it's sad to see the mom suffering at the end because she didn't share. All she had to do was love those kids outwardly, like they knew she loved her inwardly, and let them be women. And that's the problem that most parents have. We don't. Like I tell my daughter all the time, man, like I was telling y'all before the show, me and my daughter fight like Tom and Jerry. But we the best of friends and the worst of friends simultaneously. And I tell her at least once a month. And when we talk, it's this picture I have in my phone. She was coming up the stairs and she looked back and I just flashed the picture. She couldn't have been older than 11. I was like, this is how I see you every day. I tell her, show her that picture all the time. I still see you as this little girl. She'll be 26 years old. I still see us that 10-year-old little girl. And her mom got into it late last year. She called me. She was upset. I was like, well, she got to let me be an adult. And I was like, you're never going to be an adult to us.
Not in the parents' eyes.
Right. I was like, 27 years older than you. She 25 years older than you. You're going to be that much older than you until you die. Until we die. And we still going to be that much older than you. So it's tough and it's hard. And there's a lot of life's lessons in this. And I really appreciated it because I didn't see this coming. I didn't see any. Like I said, I walked into this totally ignorant. The last two programs, I walked into it totally ignorant, not knowing anything, because I was out of the church from age 12 to 38. So this was above my head. Some of these songs I'm hearing, didn't even know they were church songs. I thought, because Nicole can remember this. They didn't determine what was church, black and white. They just played good music on the radio. Right. I didn't know these were supposed to be church songs. I'm listening. I was like, that's a church song. I'm like, didn't know. So that's what I really appreciated. Y'all always get on my head about not listen to the soundtrack. And this time I was forced to listen to it. And I'm like, oh, this is they hear. Because man, when I'm watching the movie, I did not hear the music. Y'all get on me every week. I'm like, didn't hear that.
Yeah, this one was basically a musical. So you didn't have a choice. And Brother Kev, you're right. Classic move, divide and conquer. And I'll respond to that and say it does not necessarily suck. We just fall for the banana in the tailpipe every single time because we want something so bad, right? That we will take probably the worst possible deal, and we'll live. Some people are able to get out of the deal and continue their career. Some people are just able to live a good 6 to 12 months and. From there, you never hear from them again. So, I think the education part is key, which probably as they got older, I'm sure they probably reached back and helped out some of the young artists, even their kids. Kierra, which is Karen's daughter, her getting into this industry. I mean, it had to have been great that, her mom has been in the industry for that many years and was able to probably share a lot of the nuggets and stuff that, she needed. So the next part was Denise. So Denise was the one, I'm going to live my best life. I'm going to do this singing thing on the side, but I'm going to live my life. And I don't care what y'all say. So she ended up getting pregnant. She was the first one out of the group, and they were all nervous. So we were in the dressing room, and she had that dress on, or she was about to put the dress on. And I'm assuming the mom was like, I thought she said, put it on. But she never put it on, and she never came. Did she come out? I don't know.
She probably came out, but they just let you believe
that. Yeah, just think you. I think she probably did, but I don't think they showed it on there.
Yeah. But and I think they were so close that anything that was different, anything that was not like that driving force that they were like going straight forward. They weren't looking left or right. So anybody that was veering off, I mean, it was beef. It was beef with them. Let me see. A-Trap had the Clark sisters greatest. Oh man,
whatever, jerk.
That was a throwback though. When you figured out how to get music playing on Madden, Madden is a classic game. Denise cracked me up the entire movie. She had 22 she didn't care. She did not. And when at the funeral, that was everybody got that relative. The person that's gonna cry on the casket and say, "That's my mama. I don't care what y'all say." And that's my 9 boys.
Yeah, 9 boys. That's a lot.
I didn't think what Denise did at the funeral was that terrible. Help me understand. I didn't do that. I sat there and cried, But I was like, I thought that's the way you're supposed to handle yourself at a funeral. I mean, she wasn't lying on her mama. She was up there singing her mother's praises instead of everybody sitting here crying.
I was all down and somber. I think it was the surprise because I don't think they expected her to be there, is what it seemed like. And then she wanted to ride in the car. It's family drama like that. Sad, probably at a lot.
I'm my mama's the niece, so.
Oh, your mom?
Kids, but man, my older sister was the one. My middle sister just came in, and my older sister's been in. They were straight A students, and I was king of the class cutters. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do enough doing football and baseball season to keep this lady off my back. Then outside of that, it's time to do it.
It's cut up time.
It's cut up time. I'm like, I got beat to sleep many nights, Jack. I'm just growing some of my back now. I got beat so many times.
Yeah, but I mean,
so why do y'all think that Denise did the things that she did?
Well, I think number one, she was somewhat she was the second born, and I think she been in it for so long. Like she said, I can't do this no more. I'm living, she said it perfectly. I'm living your dream. Like, what's my dream? Like, my dream is not to be in the Clark sisters my whole life. So I think she just wanted so much to do her own thing. Well, she did do her own thing.
Yeah.
But she was just I think she was, I don't necessarily think she was being rebellious. I just think she just did not want to do this for the rest of her life.
But do y'all think that she regretted it? Doing it that way?
I can only speak from my personal experience, Nicole. Again, my sisters did everything by the book. They cleaned when they were supposed to clean. They went to school, and my mother was military. I mean, you know how you fold the bed, you do the sheets, the military corners. My mother used to make us do our beds like that. We had to have all our chores done by 4 p.m. Sunday, or you couldn't do anything the rest of the week. You know how many times I stayed in the house, Nicole? It just, I guess that it's just like you sit there and you go, yeah, that's right. But you know how many times I got beat? I told a story once, Nicole. You maybe watched it. Mother used to say, "Come in the house at this time." And when she was saying, "You better be home by this time," I'm standing there looking at her like, "You're gonna kick my ass when I get back."
I definitely have to be in at that time.
And this one time, my mom literally socked me in the eye, Nicole. I thought I was sneaking in the house. I locked the door, turned around, stood up, pow, right in the eye. And when I got my vision back, she was turning into her bedroom. And I went to bed, and she woke up to breakfast the next morning. Like,
wow.
I mean,
that never happened.
When she was doing what she wanted to do, I was like, I get that. Because it's just something in you, Nicole. It's just something in you. It's just like, it's going on out there, and I got to see it. And if I had to get how many times, Nicole, it's been parties. Big Illinois, I'll tell you. Big Illinois, my man, Draz, they'll tell you. It's been times they like, hey, man, you gonna do this? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm gonna do it. And
Yeah.
In spite of the consequences.
Yeah, it's just like to this day. Like once we were on the phone laughing and joke about girls, and you weren't on my mama phone after 11 o'clock. And anytime we together, they go, Brian, get your ass off the phone, because that's what my mother did. Pick up the phone, get your, and it's you just like, hey, you after a while you bigger than your mama, so you like,
what's she gonna do?
She gonna do? Look,
I thought that same thing. My mom was the same height she is now. She was like 5'1", and I was 5, probably 6. And I just thought, hey, what's she gonna do? She lifted me up against the wall, roughed me up, and everything. I'm like, hey, it don't matter what size you are. They will handle business. Nicole, I'm sure you can speak to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
With Denise, I think when her mom passed, I think she probably regretted some of it. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have that.
Sure, she did.
Reflection of, could I have done something better? Was she there? I don't know if she was there when she actually passed, because the other sisters seemed to be there.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing her in that scene at all.
She was more so. She was at the funeral. Golden said whole summers. I guess you were out whole summers.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you ain't going out all summer. We're doing this school year, it's going down. I gotta sit this out all summer. Okay. you gonna get tired of beating me.
They gonna know it said Ginger Snaps and the Clark sisters.
Shut up, man. Those were my favorite cookies as a kid.
Hey, side note though, man, them Ginger Snaps in the yellow brown box.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
he ain't know about it. He like
they the real deal.
They are.
Tell him again. Tell him, Nicole. Tell him.
They're the real deal.
I'll call your local Piggly Wiggly and pick some of them up.
Okay, tell him. Tell him.
Yeah, they was on point, man. That was on point.
Mm-hmm. Mom used to make teasing me for years about those cookies. And I'm like, nah, Jack, those were delicious.
Yeah.
Niecy. I mean, I get Niecy. I was watching this going, yeah. It took me back to this one beating I got. I was like, yeah, I remember that.
And they was throwing hands. Well, they wasn't really throwing hands. It was just one hand that was thrown to the knee.
Yeah, it was just one hand being thrown.
I think that was kind of the end. I actually felt sorry for my mom the last 2 spankings she gave me. I just cried because I felt sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey man. Like I knew my mother said be somewhere at 8 o'clock. You supposed to be there at 7:50. One day I showed up at 8:10. We stand in front of my grandmother's house. And I did like this. And why I do that? She just snatched the picket off the fence and broke it on me. I was like, and it broke across my arm playing football. I'm like, and then I was like, oh, play hurt.
You had the
play hurt. Play hurt. She gonna hit you again. So my mother didn't have no problem hitting you no more. It's like, hey.
So Nicole, back in the building from the MIA. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, it's just I'm in you. It just I gotta be outside. And my mom's super strict. And then I remember Niecy. I remember having that moment with my mother when I was older. I was like 17. She trying to get me to come in the house at 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm like, Mom. At that point, I was just like, look, Mom, I'm not a girl. And I think it clicked like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, he's not a girl. I'm not gonna go out and get pregnant. Trying to get somebody pregnant. Trying to go through the steps, but and then she kind of slacked up. But then she was like, hey, I don't care how old you are. At midnight, you either gonna sleep on the porch or you gonna come and be in my house. A couple of nights I slept on the porch.
So I was a bad boy.
Yeah, but I wasn't even doing nothing. Nicole was saying I wasn't even really doing. I'm standing outside with Big Illinois, right in front of the house.
You right down the street.
No, Ben. In front of the house. The first time I got arrested, it was because I beat up. We used to live in this apartment building, and the security guy was just harassing me, man. And I grabbed him in his collar and body slammed him. And I finna punch him. The police pulled their guns on me. They arrested me. And I went home. You know, they kept me. I was an adult at this time. I was like 19 at this time. And I got arrested. And they let me go. My coach was he was a cop. He was like, man, it's your mouth. I was like, yeah, I ain't doing nothing this time. I told him they let me go. So now I gotta wait around to 7 o'clock to go in my mama's house because I don't want to know I got arrested. I walk in the house. She said, where you been? And I was about to lie. I was like, I said, I got arrested. She said, I know, I saw you. I was watching you get arrested. I told you stop running around.
He was watching you.
I watched you get arrested. Why didn't you call? I was like, you man, and you know, my mother, she was like their mother. I'm telling you, I was really enjoying this. I was like, yeah, she's just like my mom. And I told her that, and she said, why didn't you call to come get you? I was like, well, you told me only. My mother told all three of us, if you go to jail, don't call me unless you stole $1 million, because it takes some sense to get steal $1 million. You stupid otherwise. I was like, well, I ain't still $1 million, so I'm sitting in this cell.
I'm trying to call you. Theodora confirmed. She said, true. I went back home for about 3 months, and I was 30, and she told me to be in the house at 11:30.
I'm telling you. See, she gave me midnight, and I was like, look, lady, the club don't let out the 2, so I'm on the porch.
All right, so Nicole, this is right up your alley right here. You being a mom, talk about some of your experiences that kind of related to Denise or just your kids. Period.
I think that I had the most interaction with my oldest son, Keegan, as far as being rebellious, and that was pretty difficult. But sometimes you have to, as a mom and stuff, after you have gone on your kid or after they've gotten a spanking or anything like that, you have to you go in the room and just laugh because of how their reaction was. Right. That they didn't expect that to take place.
Yeah.
So I did. He was the most that he thought he could get away with more than the other kids could. No matter what I would say, most of the time he would do that. But the other kids, not so much. My oldest daughter, Chastity, she wasn't really rebellious or anything like that. Or my youngest daughter, Kenyana, she's not like that. And neither is Kyler. But Keegan did eventually grow out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't bold enough. There's really only one. There's a couple stories. One of them, we ended up going to the Warriors game. And we basically caught the train, which is like the DART or, whatever public train system. And, we got off at the wrong station. And so we walked from West Oakland, which in that particular area at that time of night is not the best possible way or option. And we walked down like San Pablo. If you've been in the Bay Area as the main street, it'll take you all the way through, all the way from Berkeley basically to Richmond. But we walked all the way from there to Emeryville, which is like past Oakland. And I got home. My mom was like, I don't know what you was thinking, but you here. I mean, that was it. I mean, I thought I was about to get all of the beating that night, but they, y'all was together and y'all was smart. So, but that was, I wasn't really that bold to do a whole much. My middle sister was probably the one that probably gave him the most because she was, she just the fire. She the firecracker of the three of us. But back to the film. So Twinkie meets John Terrell and meets him on the stairwell, and I'm like, yeah, this dude ain't no good. I knew this dude. I knew it. I didn't even know anything about this guy. I didn't even look him up, but I just figured like this ain't gonna go well because that, like her mom said, the first person you meet,
right?
He ain't even got no job. So I knew, I kind of had a feeling like, all right, this dude's going to be, it's not going to work out. And then I seen she was divorced. So I'm like, yeah, something obviously happened.
Mm-hmm.
But Nicole, give me your thoughts. John Terrell meets her on the steps. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, that was my same thoughts too. I was like, was that the first man I wonder if that was even the first man that she had interaction with.
I think so.
And it might have been the first man because she took to him immediately.
Yeah, and he didn't have to say much.
Yeah, and I'm like the mom. I would have been saying, "Girl, what are you doing? Do you even know him?
Right.
Think about who you are, and you don't even know who he is. Maybe he already knew. I know he already knew who she was, and that's why he gravitated to her. And he knew that she had never been with anybody else at that point. Is what I'm assuming. But I think he was using her because whenever on the part where they moved in together and stuff, he was coming in asking about money while she wasn't working and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like you Ricky Clark, you should be making money.
Right.
I mean, she was so timid too that she just did, whatever she could to try to keep the family. And they had a son, so she did have that kind of pressure and responsibility. But she agree. I knew he wasn't no good. I knew he wasn't no good from the beginning. But yeah, you started to see more and more. I think Twinkie was ready to know a man biblically. He was no good. Yeah, he was. Yeah, you could tell. Hey, Trappin', you want to add anything?
Yeah, you can see he was snaking. You know what? I didn't think he was that bad. I knew he was a mooch, but I didn't think he was gonna be that bad. Because I'm like, well, maybe. You know what I mean? I was like, maybe. I was holding out hope. Yeah. And then my man come in with you supposed to be this, what the money at? And I was like,
what a bag at? Was he like, what you? Yep. I mean, I'm assuming he wasn't working. He was. I mean, I guess he was the manager. You know how these people get married. Like, I'm a manager. Manager. Yeah, really. Yeah. But that didn't work out. That didn't last very long.
Not at all.
I don't know how long they were married. But yeah, that didn't last. And I don't think she was ever married after that. So, that's probably was by choice, probably by, you in your work. And she definitely was in her work. She still probably is now. She's in her 70s? How old is she?
Yeah, all of them in their 70s.
So man. So that just shows, the first person you meet may not be the right person. Now that's
true.
And when they came over to visit the mom, I was like, this ain't gonna go well. You might as well just should have called or waved by, but it's your mom. You just stop.
Yeah.
But looking back, now I'm looking at the movie in my mind. You knew he was no good when he pushed the mama to the ground. I'm out here. My mama, I got to stab you, man. I got to stab.
Yes, he did push her down to the ground.
Come on, because I was trying. I mean, it seemed like it was a tussle, but it seemed like he basically pushed her.
He pushed her to the ground.
I'm like, yeah. At that point, you can't leave with this dude. If he would do that to your mom,
you next.
That don't even do to you. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Man, he pushed her. I don't care how bad your mama act a fool with me. I'm gonna cuss out of my head and I'm gonna leave. But I'm gonna put my hands on your mama because your natural instinct is to kill somebody who put their hands on your mama.
Right. Right. And and I think at that point she so diabetes is what she had. I think her leg might have been amputated at that point or at some point.
Least. At the least.
Yeah. So I mean she was you could just tell that she was not in a good state. But that was no good. But I knew them going over there was not going to end well. Especially she was already, and she clearly needed Twinkie. I think emotionally, I think that was like her. That was her rock.
She was.
That was her. That was her everything. She didn't have a husband. She was living there by herself. So that was like, you were my caregiver. You're leaving me. So. And I was really the first moment that she ever broke down and kind of showed, some, I think, expression towards her daughters, because I think that's another thing that sometimes parents don't show their soft side to their kids. It's
right.
The hard part, but your parents are definitely, all of our parents have definitely cried, and maybe they didn't cry in front of us. And how many times did she, tell them that she loved them or that she appreciated them? So a lot of those things, I think, started to hit deep for all the girls kind of at different times. But they all started to kind of be like, do you want us, or do you just want us for the music? That's what she said. You just want me to be your organ player. And so I think that was again, that was a great scene, but also that was an eye-opening moment, I think, for the mom too.
Yeah, but I think that their mom thought that she was doing the best that she could do for them, could do for them, like any other mom would. Right. And I think that she just didn't. I guess she just held on to them for too long, and they wanted to do their own things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and they knew. I think they knew that their mom is getting older. At some point, I mean, how long can we keep this together? And when the mom passed, I think everything kind of crumbled. Dorinda was falling apart with the mom, and the other sister Denise was already gone. I mean, because she was out of the group at that point, and I think the group kind of was gone. But and Karen was kind of doing her own thing. She got married. She is still married. So, side note, Dorinda and Karen are still married to the same man to this day. So, I think, applaud to them, for taking some of that wisdom. Let me see. Parents do the best they can with what they have. And she did.
Amen.
And if she didn't give them, she gave them a foundation. I think that's really the most important thing.
Yes.
She gave them a foundation of the Bible, what to follow, how to be young women. She didn't let them wear pants. But the funny point, when I think, who was that came? I think that was Jackie that came by, and she gave her a gift, which was pants.
Yes, she did.
So, I mean, like, I think she really, and towards the end, I think she really started to come around. Like, this is,
right.
I really need to lay back a little bit, because I know I'm towards the end. So let me do what I can to love them at this point. And even, and in the hospital room, and I felt like that was her way of saying, I love every one of you guys. This is what I see in you. That was kind of her way of speaking it, before she ended up, passing away. So, that was another powerful scene, that hospital scene. I haven't experienced anything like that, but I know it's got to be hard when you're in that moment, and your mom's bragging on you. You don't know how much time she really has left,
right? And
it kind of seems shortly after that, and I don't know how true to the story it is, but they left and they came back. She was gone. So, hey, Trap, I know you lost your mom.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced it. I mean, I like the one sister. I've experienced that. I had the displeasure of watching my mom transition. I mean, I had a conversation with her. She was in a coma, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be okay," because you could see her fighting. She's trying to fight for us. She's fighting for her grandchildren, me and my sisters. And I just held her hand and told her, I said, "Hey, Mom, you don't have to be here," And a couple of minutes later, I watched her transition. So I was watching that going, wow. Yeah, but it's tough, man. You don't know how much time you got, and then like when the one sister, she knew, and you get to thinking like my mom was suffering from, she was fighting with cancer. So you knew it was going to be soon. You just didn't know when it was. And it was just two instances at the very end and the week before the very end. And I was watching this going, yeah, I've been there. It's not cool. Of course it's not cool, but it's a painful experience. I wouldn't wish it on the worst person in the world. So when the one sister was like, "No, I'm gonna stay," and I stayed. I mean, like I was there every day. The only thing I would do is go home, take a shower, come right back.
Yeah.
Go home, take a shower, come right back. Sit there with my mom all day, every day. And I had the pleasure of being with my mom the last year of her life. Every day. Cooked 3 meals, kept, me and my sisters and my nieces kept the house clean. So, it's watching that, and then the ironic part is I'm coming up on the 13th anniversary in September of my mother's transition. So it was kind of weird watching it, but yeah, man, it's tough. It's a weird feeling. I was telling my boy Bud recently, because I watched again, I didn't think about that, but my friend Ernest, his dad died 3 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago at his dad's funeral, his mom literally dropped dead. She went to the coffin to touch her husband of 50 years. And me and the guys was sitting around that day. It was the Errol Spence fight. And I told my boy Bud, I was like, Bud, I know you hang with your mom a lot, but make sure you say everything to your mother. I was like, dude, we're 53 now. I said, that happened to me when I was 40. And the only saving grace about cancer is I was there with my mom every day. And I got to tell my mother all those things that, you know, how people go, man, I wish I would have. I emptied all that wish I would out of me. So I'd advise you guys to start just telling your mothers and your parents and everything, how much you appreciated them, because it ends. I'm talking about, damn. I mean, I remember the very first thought after my mom transitioned was, it's over. And I didn't even know what to do. To this day, I have yet to shed a tear because I'm kind of confused. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I don't know if I've come to grips with my mother gone. I don't know if I've said it to myself. Like I said out loud. I don't know if I've said it. So, I don't know. One day I might be walking down the street and just die. I don't know. But, it's just watching that, I could definitely relate to that one sister that was, no, I don't want to go. But it was just,
It's like she knew. I mean, that was good cinematography right there, because you knew something was about to happen. And she even had a breakdown too. It was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do life anymore. And Theodora says it's hard to watch a strong woman become so weak she couldn't even hold her head up. I mean,
and I believe that the mom stopped taking her medication.
Love you too, Phil.
True.
Yeah.
And so the older sister, Jackie, was a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, hey, I know you don't want to take this, but you got to take this. And she was eating, it looked like she was eating chips. I mean, she was she was reverting back, and she kind of became Denise. Denise is living her life. I'm going to live my life. God got it. And I think, too, that is, and it goes back to our, culture is that we got to take care of ourselves. We have to do our part.
Right.
God does have it under control. We have to do our part. You have to take care of this temple that he's entrusted you with. So that means you can't be eating fast food every day. You cannot do it. That food is not healthy for you. It's not meant for you to eat it every day.
That's true.
Any day. Facts. But so we have to do our part. And I think the mom really started to listen more to her daughter being in that field. And to touch on Jackie for a minute, we haven't talked about her a lot, but she was like, that's why I'm gonna get this nursing job, so I don't have to depend on none of y'all niggas. Basically what she was getting at. And she was kind of the one, she was the oldest, and she was like, look, this is not gonna be my end all be all. And so she became the nurse. And they even said at the end that she was still traveling, she was still doing tours and everything, but she just, she wanted to have something of her own and have her own career. So, this many women in this particular group, you knew, that they're gonna want to do their own thing. Some of them are gonna stick around and stay in the group. Some are gonna stick and stay with being a music artist, and some of them not. So. So September 22nd, which in about less than a month, 1994 was when Dr. Clark passed away. And it really, they had a tribute that they showed that was on some type of, I think it was the BET Awards, and just showing kind of a montage of her, which I felt like that was really cool to see. And she wanted the absolute best for her. And she said that. Now, the one point I did want to go back to, if you were in a situation, Cole, I'm going to come to you first, where the church, which was the Kojic church, told her, look, you got to step down from basically leading and directing your daughter's group, or you got to step down, or if you don't step down, you're not going to have this position anymore. What would have done in that situation?
Whoa, that would have been a tough call, but we don't know her reasoning about why she wanted to push her daughters so much. Because maybe when she was young, maybe her parents struggled. And so we don't know what that felt like for her. And she probably just wanted to, no, I'm not going to do, I'll rather give my kids this opportunity than not.
Yeah.
Because what if I don't, what is their lives going to be like? Because parents they want better for you than you want for yourself.
Right.
So I just think about it that way, and I wouldn't have stepped down. Or if I didn't want to step down, I wouldn't have stepped down. If I wanted to, I would have. So I don't think there's no right or wrong answer, but I just think that she wanted the best for her kids. That's why she kept pushing through. Yeah.
And I think she also, probably realized too, if I'm continuing to push them, how do I know that they really want this for themselves? If I'm the one in the front pushing, and when I'm gone, and which the group did kind of dissolve when she passed, but I think she really kind of too wanted to see what are they made of in this group without me. And I was kind of around the same time too that they performed at the Grammys. What I was actually when they performed at the Grammys, that's when the Kojic Church said, okay, can't do that. But now you fast forward to now, and I mean, there's multiple different categories of gospel.
A lot of them going to that now.
Right. A-Trap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like Nicole. With Nicole. That has to be extremely difficult. You have to choose between your faith and your children, because, like Nicole said, maybe she was living vicariously through them and pushing them, and like you said, maybe it became at some point. Maybe she was thinking she was pulling them instead of pushing them. So it was that, man. That's a hell of a decision to make. Your God in your mind, God or your children,
right?
And I think the church was over the top with that. But I'm ignorant to the whole process, so I can't really speak about it. But I do believe, as she stated, I'm doing this for the Lord. Because now, one thing about the mom in this, I never questioned her dedication to her children or to God. And they brought it to her as if that was the thing. And I do believe, I even looked it up. I think it's Matthew. I'll look it up. I found the scripture and I texted to myself. Give me a second. And I looked it up. I found this for me. It was Mark 7:13. Your traditions will stand in the way of my word. That's what Jesus said. And this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah. And a lot of times you get so stuck in what the church does or what our parents did and what their parents did. Right. But is it true? Is it true to the word of God? That's what it really comes down to. And I think I think the church had more control during that time, and the position that she had, which she had it for, I don't know, I think it was probably 10, 15 years or something at that point. That was her life. So she had a lot really to contemplate. But she gave it all she had when she came in that meeting, and she turned back around and said, "Look, let me tell you another thing." So she was not. She didn't just walk off and bow her head and just leave. So, but I think it was. I think it would end up being for the betterment for all of them. All right. So they last couple dates, 2001. Karen Clark Sheard, which I didn't know this, had a life-threatening blood vessel burst during a bariatric surgery. The doctors gave her a 2% chance of survival. Ended up surviving it and she fell into a coma. So I mean, their story definitely needed to be a film, because there was things in this I didn't know, but also the mom really got a lot of shine what she should. You know, when you make a Jackson 5 movie, you got to have Joe in it. If Joe's not in it, the story don't even exist. So I think they did a great job with that. And in 2008, they had the reunion and the song Blessed and Highly Favored. But Denise did not respond. But she is a doctor now. So I looked her up. She's a doctor and with her kids, and she has a foundation. So, I mean, they're all doing well from what I could look up and see. And that speaks volumes to the mom again. She did the majority of it on her own. So, I think this was definitely a great film to review. Let's get into some final thoughts and our mic ratings. So, 1 to 5 mics, and we'll give 2 ratings. So the first one, Nicole, would be what we thought about it after we watched it, and then if it changed at all, during throughout tonight as we talked about it. So we'll go to our guest first, Nicole.
Well, I thought that the film was great, and based on your ratings that you guys do, is it the 5 is the highest? 5 is the highest. Yes, and I'd give it 5, definitely a 5, because I already had seen it. Like I told you before, I didn't realize I had already seen it, and then till my daughter said, "Mama, you already saw that with us back when it first came out," but I watched it again today, and it's definitely a 5. Yeah. It gave a lot of depth. I mean, it didn't. Yes. It probably left a little bit because you could have went off and talked more about each one, but I think it gave you probably the bulk of the information. But A-Trap.
I'm gonna do the before and after. I'm a 4 and 4, 4 and 4, before and after. But I'll probably give it a 4.5 after this conversation, simply because, like you said, one of my pet peeves is I always say I want it to be a mini series because I want to know as much as I can about the people. But you did get to learn a lot about the people. You knew about the mom, you knew about the sisters, you knew about the trials and tribulations of everybody going on. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do what Nicole said. I'm gonna give it a 5, man, because you found out a lot in a short period of time, and then they didn't oversaturate it. They got straight to the point. We learned how to play music. My mother pressed us. We went into this. Our sisters broke up. We got back together. And then, like you said at the end, they gave details of each sister at the very end of the movie. So you got a little bit of everything. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5. I walked into it a 4, and after the conversation, I gave it a 5.
All right. Ready Care says Astros win. Sorry, wrong show. Yeah, definitely the wrong show because we in Texas. We're a Rangers fan over here. But awesome movie about the power of women. You said it, 4.5 mics. So I started off with a 4. I felt like it was solid. I think it, it really gave a lot of the information like we've been talking about tonight. And they were truly the first ladies of gospel. And when we say gospel, because, obviously Mahalia Jackson, which we did hers, we did Aretha Franklin, but this was such a different version of gospel that they were pioneers of this, level of it. So yeah, I had a 4.5, a 4. I'm gonna up it to a 4.5 after this conversation because I felt like this as we talked and dived into it, there were so many aspects of it that really showed a deeper meaning. There were so many parallels to a lot of things we reviewed, to the music industry, and so yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. So. Yeah, definitely was a good suggestion as we kind of round out Gospel Appreciation Month, and we thank you, Nicole, for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Team Leo, baby.
Yeah, all day, every day.
All day.
That's my wife.
365 days a year.
Yeah, August the 15th, my wife's birthday too. So yeah, she's one of them. Man, y'all some strong-willed people, man. Y'all are some
yes, we are.
Make the world go round. Make life easier, man.
All right. So next week, we will be off. It is Labor Day, so enjoy time with your families. I'll probably be eating some barbecue somewhere. So we'll be off next week. And then what's coming up tomorrow on the end of the bench?
I'm torn. Well, I'm gonna talk about. Hold on. One of the things I'm gonna talk about. I'm talking about freedom schools. Freedom schools is this concept in the mid '60s. And freedom schools, seeing how we have an attack on Black history, and Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida, and they have an attack on Black history. They want to rewrite history. They just rolled out this program saying that slavery was beneficial to our people. And I'm talking about how freedom schools need to be a rebirth of freedom schools. Freedom schools started in the mid '60s by the Student Nonviolent Coalition Committee, SNCC, they're most commonly known by. They were the underbelly of the Christian Baptist organization that was run by Dr. Martin Luther King and Ralph Abernathy and that crew. They were the youngins, so to speak, under them. Well, Dr. King wasn't that damn old at that point either, but they were the college students that were doing things. And they started educating people on civics, educating people on history and things of that nature. And they were funded by the community, for the community, and made the community a better place. We need to have a rebirth of that, because other cultures, I've had supervisors like this dude, Nick Kalamoto-Sakis, a Greek cat. He went to Greek school. So we need to start, and instead of arguing, we continue to fight about academics and, history being taught properly in our institutions of education, but we also need to take it upon ourselves to educate our young people. And the schools come about because some of the people who are around, the ancillary people around us, they don't know. So how can you teach your child about something that you don't know? Of course you should know, but you know what? I shouldn't be 240 pounds, but I am. So, we're not going to talk about what should be. We're going to talk about what it is.
Right.
So, and I'm also going to talk about gun control. Ray Kev, he's in the audience. He's a gigantic gun enthusiast, but at some point, I'm going to ask people like Ray Kev to take a step back and start looking around and seeing that when we had more gun control, there were bans on certain weapons, there were less gun violence. Understand, you want your freedoms. I don't want anybody to be, I don't want anything to stop. I don't want to amend. I don't want to amend any of your freedoms. But at some point, we're gonna have to start taking a look at, hey man, why do you need a gun that shoots 38 bullets in 24 seconds? So
you have to start looking in the mirror. I agree.
Right. This last instance in Orlando, my family's from Florida. My dad's family's from Florida. My dad was born in Lakeland, Florida, down the street from Orlando. So, my cousin Mike lives there now. First cousin, he's like a brother to me. He has 2 boys. He has a daughter. He has 2 boys and 2 girls. They're in Florida right now. So, he could potentially be in danger. So we need to revisit this. There's hatred in other countries. The hatred is something that's been around since the word go. And there are things that we need to do to, you're not going to stop evil. Evil is going to be here. You got to have a sun so you can appreciate the moon. You have to have the moon to appreciate the sun. It's going to be yin and yang. But while other countries they got discrimination, they have segregation, they have hatred, they have all the things that we have, but they don't have gun issues. So at some point, as a society, as a culture, we're going to have to curtail some of this gun purchasing. So these nuts, because see, Ray Kev isn't a maniac. He's not a lunatic. He's doing this for sport. Other people are doing it for violent reasons, and we need to do something to slow those things down. And then I got a couple of, me, I'm never completely done Monday night.
Yeah.
So I got a couple more things that I'm gonna talk about, and then I do my history. The history video, I already uploaded my history video, so I'm ready to go. But that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, because it's important. These are things that are important. And me and Mo finally picked out a date, the 18th. I'm going to be doing 2 shows on Mondays now.
Oh, okay.
Chief Seats will be Monday evening, and then I'll be on here later Monday evening. And I've officially come out of retirement for sports, and it's called Hold My Beer Sports. So all you guys have been pressing me to get back into sports. Back.
Looking forward to it. What time is Park Bench gonna be on?
The Chief Seats probably about an hour and a half before this show.
Okay,
it's only gonna be an hour, and then Hold My Beer, I'm not sure, because there's a couple of things in the works. It may be uncomfortable for 1 or 2 people. I'll tell you about that after the show. But but I'm already the villain, man. You know what I'm saying? You know me, Ben. I've been the villain since we met. So, hey, man, add that to my bad guy resume.
All right. Theodora says, congrats, Chief Seats. I'm looking forward to that. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So coming up tomorrow on Queen3 and King, Nicole and the crew will be reviewing Overcomers with special guest award-winning Andre Jones, who won podcast here. So he'll be on. I don't think Dark will be there tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. I think he may be out. So that'll be coming up tomorrow on Queen3 and King. Make sure to tune in with the new producer, Kierra Patterson, and she is getting her getting her experience in on the job experience. OJ.
She's good. Yeah, she's doing an excellent job.
So yeah, definitely tune in to that tomorrow. They got a great show like they do every week. A-Trap as well. And we will close it out. A-Trap.
As usual, salute to Reggie O'Shea by saying, dream your dreams and man up and woman up and live your dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor and surround sound. And y'all already know it's this close to the end of the month. If I owe you something, I ain't got it because rent due next week. And if you need it, get it from God.
Amen.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.